We live, baby. We live. All right, y'all. We are here, man. The final episode of this series, The Bitter Truths. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to this one, man. We're talking about the future. What does the future look like as far as overcoming our trauma, the bitter truths within our community and our culture? How we want to start this off?
Do you want to start off with that David Banner quote?
You gotta remind me because he's got so many quotes. I follow my man. I follow my man. Yo, David Banner.
That nigga be talking. So
Yeah. So you gotta be more specific.
So I'll paraphrase it, but I'm sure once I say.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Okay. So the quote that we're talking about from David Banner is so many people that have righteous indignation. They are so wrapped up with being Jesus, they forget about Moses. Without Moses, there's no room for Jesus to accomplish what he accomplished.
Literally wouldn't be here.
Exactly. But it's like Moses doesn't get that. He doesn't get that shine. He doesn't get that nod. Moses is essential. Without Moses,
Facts.
yeah.
So how would you correlate that to today?
People want to see the fruits of their labor. It's like they don't want to plant seeds. Nobody wants to try to fertilize the soil and everything. Like
that microwave mentality thing.
Exactly. What we've been talking about this whole time. So I'm down for planting seeds. I'm down for working one kid at a time. Like I don't expect. And there's another quote that we went to. Right? Is
It's based in that.
It's based in the same thing. If any fight that you choose, all right, if you expect to win a fight in your lifetime, you're thinking too small.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm with that. I told, before we started this, the whole conception of this, Sonny hit me up. He was distraught. He was like, yo, like our people, like we suffering, like, yo, we at each other's necks, like, yo, like, how do we fix this? How can we fix us? And I told him straight up, it was just, hey, we need 3 selfless generations.
Yeah.
We need three generations like, fuck me, it's not about me. Fuck my kid, it's not about them. It's not about my grandkid, it's about our great-grands.
And the thing that I got from that is you have to come to the realism that whatever the dream that you see, you won't be alive to see it. And you have to be at peace with it. You're not going to be alive to see this world, but your descendants will be. And that is the mindset that we have to have. And I think sometimes we can get so selfish that, oh, we need paradise now. I'm like,
And you know what the evidence of that is? You know where I got that from? That 3 selfless generations? I use something that we all are familiar with in this country. Constitution. Everybody that signed their name to that, every signature on that, they didn't see it.
True.
They kids didn't see it. They grandkids didn't see it. That motherfucker helped them. Yeah, it helped them.
That's a good example.
yeah, they were fresh off of Britain's thumb. They were fresh out, like they were building this stuff up like from the ground up. In a fucked up way, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel
it's a good example, but I'm not gonna put too much weight on the Constitution. They had to change it 25 times.
No, I feel you, but I feel like, but the only person that I know on our time on our team that did it is Ice Cube, or that was willing to do it. The only person that took them steps was Ice Cube, and look what happened.
got crucified.
Man, what? Hey, yo, shout out to Ice Cube, O'Shea Jackson Senior. Appreciate you, cause we need that, and we need more ideas like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's one of the fathers of NWA. Of course, it's gonna come from him. But what happens when he's done? Like we just lost one of our greats. We lost one of our greats, Dick Gregory. Yeah, but we still got Sam Jackson, and people are like, oh, how do you call Sam Jackson one of your favorite? Like nobody ever talks about how radical Sam Jackson is.
They don't know about Sam Jackson before he was a famous actor. Like how
Sam Jackson was an alumni of Morehouse. He got kicked out.
Well, he's an honorary alumni of Morehouse because he never graduated from it.
You know why he didn't graduate?
Because he like stuck up the whole administration.
He kidnapped Martin Luther King Sr.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Locked him in the
Yeah.
administration building.
Kidnapped Martin Luther King Sr. Held that whole cabinet accountable. Like, hey, we need some changes. Hey, that's Sam Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson, yeah. So when people are like, oh, Denzel, nah, it's always gonna be Sam Jackson for me, man.
Facts.
Yeah,
That's
that's wild, yo.
Let's get to it.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Before we go into the future, I think it is important to recognize the past generations, like how you use the Jesus and Moses example.
Okay.
So I guess how can we do that? Like really respect our past, but still look forward to our future.
Let's identify something. So when we use that concept, by all technical means, we're the past. We in our dream world, we're the past. So in that concept. So are you just talking about let's go back further in our historical context?
I mean,
this being the present.
Either way, however you want to go about it, this can be the present as far as, I mean, I agree with you. We are the past in the sense that we got a younger generation, you know what I'm saying, that's right there behind us, and they're looking at us for, you know, what to do next. But at the same time, we looked at somebody as well. So we have our past that we look at.
All right.
I think there was if I could
Let's not die us off as a generation. If we think about it,
Yeah.
the movers and shakers that we idolize, they were our age when they was really at their prime, at their peak.
So we so right now we shouting out Gen X. We shouting out Gen X for showing us what was capable. But so the meat and potatoes of this is gonna be, we're gonna be talking about the baby boomers. We're gonna be talking about the boomers. We're gonna be talking about Gen X. We're talking about millennials, and the Zoomers. That's what they call them. They coined them as Zoomers. So boomers to the Zoomers.
boomers to the zoo.
Boomers to the Zoomers. All right.
Is it because everybody was on Zoom for school?
Hey, I should have bought stock.
That shit dead now. We all regret that.
Yeah.
Nah, that shit over now. Hey, that shit is dead.
We starting with the boomers?
I guess we could, but it's just like I have a concept. I think there was a certain point in history, I can't pinpoint the time, where society in America actually allowed black people to pick between a red pill and a blue pill. So the reason why I bring that up, and you can tell me if I'm way off here, is because I think there was a certain point in history in which there was like, you know, I think it was like the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, in which there was a sense of like almost like a dullness to racism or to major racism, whereas like it wasn't really as profound or in our face, whereas there was a certain time in history, Jim Crow, all of this, there was progressive change at a certain point, and then there was like a period in the 70s in which it was like, yeah, okay, we passed the laws, but we're still uncomfortable. Then there was a certain period of like, okay, now things have become less overt, more covert, and that is the blue pill. And that is like, we're not going to give you the harsh, we're not going to give you the disgusting medicine. We're still going to like treat you a certain way, but it's going to be so covert that you think it tastes like cherries. It tastes like,
Yeah, we're going to kill you slowly.
Do you think it's covert, or we just became desensitized to it? Because my wife's family is from the UK, and it is a stark difference. I think the way you describe it is how they experience racism. It's kind of like gaslighting. Like, oh no, it's not because you're a block. It's just, you know, how you act. You're not, you know, you're not fit for society. Like da 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 da. Like, it's not because of how you look. It's because of how you act. Whereas we know, there's no other reason. Like, it's blatant. Like with the fucking Karens. You know what I mean? Like, you like that shit that happened at that Airbnb was the gall, like the the audacity that you're just gonna walk.
For those who don't know, what are you talking about?
Okay, it was I can't remember. I think I want to say it's in Florida. I want to blame everything on Florida, but I can't. I really don't know where this was. I just know it was a black family, or it was black occupants that rented an Airbnb, and the white neighbors entered the Airbnb, and I'm like, well, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, we're on vacation. I was like, well, how did you guys get in? Like, yo, we rented an Airbnb. Like, well, why are you in here? Like, we know the people that own this house, and like, it just looked odd. Like, you don't belong. We rented an Airbnb. The fuck? Like, we're patrons.
Nice shit.
And well, explain yourself. All right, so America, y'all understand what it is. We expect that we're talking to Black America, but this could be anyone. Black America, we already know what it is. But regular America, you can't just walk into somebody's fucking house. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? This white couple literally just entered an establishment that was not their own. And it never dawned on them. They're talking to people that they don't know. They're not listening to anything that they have to say, but they're in the right.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Why are you here? This isn't your fucking house. It doesn't matter why I'm here. Mind your business. Get back to mind your business shit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That shit.
I mean, I definitely think it can be like a miscommunication between the baby boomers and basically everybody else.
Well, they had a different brand. Well, they had a different brand of racism, so it's just almost like
Facts, yeah.
I really want to word this very good because I honor my mother and my father and everybody that came before them.
That's respect.
I felt like in certain, like when you get told stories about baby boomers, especially black working, men and women, they accepted scraps and they took that mentality and they were just like, well, I got all this overtime, they give me, I get to do this and they let me do that. And, I mean, it's all about working hard, breaking it back.
They had to survive.
And it's just like, but they never shook it.
Yeah.
They never shook it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I like to acknowledge all the baby boomers that might be watching this, and we want to give credit. We want to give credit to all of the suffering that you guys went through,
Facts.
and it sucked. Like I want to apologize for all the people that should have apologized to y'all. I want to apologize. Like, listen, what you went through was not okay. It sucked. Wasn't cool. It was not okay. But it ain't my fucking fault. You feel me? It's not my fault that you went through some shit. So don't look at me like I'm soft because I refuse to go through the shit that you went through with a smile on my face.
But the crazy thing is, we didn't go through it because they made our lives better than theirs.
And that's what I was thinking. I was like, honestly, I think you should be proud, or you should really understand, like, the generation after you they're not going to do the same thing that you do because they realize the bullshit that you have to go through in order to get what you had to get. Like, we appreciate everything that the baby boomers and that whole generation has done, but at the same time, we've seen what y'all had to
see it as the fruits.
Yeah,
of your labor.
we seen what y'all had to sacrifice in order to
this
get
is
with
the
that.
fruits of your labor. I don't have to work as hard as you.
Yeah, and like,
That's the fruits of it.
I mean, it's,
Right.
especially in the workplace.
But with them, you got to think about it. Think about all of the advancements we've had.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's a lot.
Things that they didn't even think about. Things they didn't think was possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was. You were in Frostburg. We were in Frostburg together. I don't think you were there. We were in Frostburg when Obama got elected, right?
Yeah, that was a
Right.
great.
Like, what?
That was probably like my
Yeah.
number one night in Frostburg, dog. Oh my goodness.
And I just remember the videos of the older blacks that were crying. They were like, "Yo, I never."
Yeah.
That's what my grandfather said. He didn't live to see it,
Never
but he
thought.
said like they would never elect a black president, not partially black, no part black.
Hey, Tupac didn't get to see it.
Right.
He spoke to it. You feel me? So for that to happen, it meant different things for different people. Right?
Well, and that speaks
Yeah.
volumes to the world that they lived in.
Yeah.
That spoke volumes to it. It's just like you know, it was a lot. Like, and that's why I said like, yo, they had to go through so much shit. And I'm not shitting on them because I said the whole scrap thing. I'm just saying that was the world that they had to live through to survive.
I'm gonna tell you, my mom and my dad are a year apart in age, and they both cried for completely different reasons. And I'm not going to speak to what those reasons are because you know that's their truth. But I know my parents very well, and yeah, pops,
Yep.
mom. I'm not gonna. My parents are still married, so I'm not gonna.
Hey,
Yeah.
So baby boomers are from the years 1946 to 1964.
My mom was born in 50. My dad was born in 51.
Yeah, I think I was around like 55.
huh?
I think like 55 for my parents.
They were both 55.
So-
Mine 56, 58.
Yeah, just I mean, think about the psychological warfare they went through. As
Exactly.
children.
Yeah,
Like they literally saw
and what they
people
seen
murdered, slaughtered in the streets
at a higher rate.
at a very high rate, where violence wasn't as common as it is now. Like
Yeah.
we watch the news and there's violence on the TV every day. They saw that shit in real life.
In real time, in front of their face.
And then
Especially
barely on the
depending
news.
on, like, you know, both my parents were raised in Baltimore, so it was just like you got to think about it, like just in urban communities and stuff.
Yeah.
It was turned up because it was just like you're in a congested space where all of your brothers and sisters are in one place, and then you have to deal with that. They got you all in one place, and you have to deal with that. It's crazy concept, crazy thing to visualize.
So I mean, honestly, we definitely gotta respect our elders and what they've been through in order for us to have what we have and what we can achieve.
Do you think they suffered some form, and this can include grandparents, some form of PTSD?
Every black person
Yeah.
in America,
Yeah,
no
most
matter
definitely.
what generation you live
Most
in.
It's like,
Definitely.
that was let's equate that to wartime,
Yeah.
and then now it's peacetime, and they don't know
No,
how
it's
to-
not peacetime. It's still wartime.
Yeah,
It's a
honest-
different kind of war.
But
a
they
different
but they are failing to acclimate. They're failing to adjust.
But
Yeah.
that's a serious thing for
I
everybody.
mean, because they have a lot of battles, yo.
Imagine prisoners when they get released from incarceration.
I got
the hardest
y'all.
thing for them to do is transition into civilian
I
life.
got y'all. It's not a failure to acclimate. It's not a failure to acclimate. What it is it's not their fight anymore. You feel me?
At least they feel that way.
Huh?
So they feel that way.
So
No, at some
I'ma-
point you got to
I'ma
pass
tell-
the torch. At some point you got to pass the torch.
Let's
So it's
address
not their fight.
let's address passing the torch. Right? They passed the torch. They passed the torch 2 generations ago. You know what I mean? They passed it to Gen X. They didn't like how Gen X carried it. So they tried to disregard Gen X, and now they're focused on millennials because
They
we got
hate
the
us.
numbers. Yeah, they can't stand us
But
because
old people never look fondly on the youth because it's always
Yeah.
they have a wisdom, a different perspective that we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So they see so much potential that we have, and we're not living up to it. So it's only right for them to be frustrated.
And that's why I
call
feel
a spade
bad.
a spade. We got to call a spade a spade. They didn't tell us what was what.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us what was what. We
No.
had to figure it out.
Because they barely knew, though. I feel like,
Get your shit off.
nah.
They barely knew. Let's hear about it.
I mean, it was just a different time. I feel like the shit that they went through, and for order of them to achieve what they had to do in order to achieve is just, it was a lot.
I won't discredit it.
And
I
then
won't
for them
discredit
to
nothing that they
still try to
accomplished.
be in the workplace or around, like, they got a lot to learn again.
I appreciate everything they accomplished, and I appreciate them putting forth the effort. right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the same thing, right? The same thing is because we got the same fight,
Right.
Because we dealing with the Zoomers, right? At some point, it's not on us. We got as far as we could get. It's on us to take what we know
And pass it
give
down.
it to them.
I agree.
Without expecting, because we had our time to do what we needed to do.
Okay.
And it still might be our time to make whatever we need.
I see what you're saying.
But
I see what you're saying.
when it's their time, we have to get out the way and let them fight. But we have to prepare them to have the best chances of success.
I mean, I feel like that's always going to be, well, not always, but I feel like that's a common battle of like just transitioning power or.
I don't know.
But I
or
also think
secession.
not necessarily our generation, but the generation before us, they decided that they weren't going to fight. So the baby.
You talking about Gen
boomers-
X?
What, is that before us?
Gen X is right before us.
They decided they're not going to fight.
I don't want to say that they, because we had this conversation. Me and you, son, we had this conversation. They didn't have a.
They ain't have technology like we had.
No.
Because if the baby boomers could fight,
Dre,
there's no reason why the
let
Gen
me
Xers
get my
couldn't.
shit off. Let me get my shit off. Let me get my shit off. Nah, they didn't have a legit war or whatever, all this other shit, right? But these motherfuckers had a crack epidemic.
But that was the war that they should have been fighting against. They.
How do you fight a war that's just sucking you in like that? Like there is.
But it's just like the
it-
baby
it's
boomers,
a
they didn't
war that
succumb
you
to the
can't
racism.
See, it's like
Yeah, they didn't
okay,
realize that shit was a war.
Like
They just thought that shit was in their neighborhood.
Even Nam was a visual war. Honestly, it's the I don't know if we talked about it. Nam was the most gruesome war there was, more gruesome than World War II and World War One, because it was the introduction of guerrilla warfare. But it's in your face. All wars except for the crack epidemic was in your face. Crack was something that you knew you could feel it, but it wasn't so like, okay, it's not like somebody, hey, I'm going to forcefully, hit you with this crack.
I'm gonna give you this first one for free though. Like
Hey,
that's
Sonny. Sonny.
But it seems like a favor to you.
But Sonny.
This is my gift to you.
But Sonny,
This is better than cocaine.
Sonny. Nam was like when we're talking about war. What what war is about? Everybody knows what war is about. War is about money.
It's all economics.
Nam was not about money at all. Nam was not about money. If it was about money, we could have got it up out of there. Like, what was the resource? All I know about Nam is Nam introduced heroin to our community. The first junkies was Nam vets. They was experimented on. Like, my uncle talks about MK Ultra to this day. You feel me? Like, there was some other shit that happened with Nam that.
But they was doing heroin before now. Billie Holiday and all them was on heroin.
Nah,
That was
I
before
feel you.
us.
I feel you, but Billie Holiday's a celebrity. Celebrities always gonna be on their extra shit.
Right, but they got that in the jazz clubs. They was doing heroin back in the 40s.
Nah, I feel you, but think about it. You're talking about those entertainers that are.
Yeah, but
gonna-
we only know about entertainers because back then there wasn't Instagram for us to know what regular people.
Nah,
was doing.
I feel you, but Vietnam vets were on some shit
Oh,
to
yeah.
get them to forget about the shit, the fucked up
Oh, that's
shit
when
that
the
happened to Vietnam.
psychedelics drugs. The
Exact
psychedelics.
LSD,
Okay.
all that shit.
Okay, so war. So war in the sense that you put on a uniform, you get drafted. You're clearly, you in your mind, you as the person going out to defend the country, you know you're going to war. When you are a consumer of a product, you don't know somebody's going to war against you. You think you're going up to somebody to buy a product. That is the difference with that generation. They were going to buy a product. They didn't know they were being attacked.
yeah.
That's the
They
biggest
didn't know
that's the difference.
until everybody was drugged out
Oh,
and
shit,
attacked.
Until it looks like the Walking Dead outside. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they got us.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were just buying a product and purchasing it, and it was good stuff.
I mean,
Nah, they
but at
were
the
playing-
same
I think
time,
we're playing on
bragged
the
about-
ignorance
okay.
of
but
adults.
at the same time,
Okay.
that's kind of feeding into how social media is now. Like in the beginning, shit was cool. Like it was fun. Social media, MySpace, Baze. But as you continue, you see people really killing themselves. it's like a lot of bad things around social media.
But okay, right. Yeah, like, and that's a good comparison because how do we promote these things, right? As a good thing, like Facebook, Instagram, anything, as a fun way to connect and interact with people. But if you have too much screen time, it can fuck with productivity. It can fuck with your brain. But it's not presented as someone is shooting a gun in your face. So the way that warfare is conducted has completely changed.
Yeah. Fact.
And warfare is a little bit different when it's not another country. It's your. You get what I'm saying? It's a completely different thing. It's like,
So here's what I'll say to Gen X. Right? I'm not going to bastardize them. I'm gonna say that they're trying to pick up the slack now. I feel like a lot of Gen Xers are trying to put jewels out and get people hip now. But I feel like in their prime, when it was their fight, they were just trying to find the rules. They were trying to figure out.
They were still learning. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So if you're still learning, you can't teach what you don't know. And that's one thing I had to learn when my time talking to Chizzy and them. You know what I mean? Like, my perspective growing up in PG, like, I didn't know that the rest of Maryland didn't have parks and recs. Like, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know that I just had an abundance of resources. Like, I didn't know I had access to stuff that the rest of Maryland didn't have.
was it that generation of birth of the latchkey kids? Or
No. Boomers were latchkey kids.
No, some of Gen X. Well, it depends. My mom was a latchkey kid.
What's a latch?
All right. So here's what happened. With
Single parent households.
no, not really.
It's not even
not
just
really.
that.
It's both parents are working. Both parents are working, so there's nobody there to raise the kids. So they give you a key, and you let yourself in.
I mean, that's
but at a young age.
okay.
Yeah, like my mom was like 5, letting herself in the house, closing
And
the
they
door.
give you a set of rules of shit not to do.
Okay.
Get dinner started. All this other stuff. Like
Take the stuff out the freezer. Do this, do that. That's what all that bullshit. That's what all that shit comes from.
we're gonna teach you how to be independent. This and that, because we're both trying to get it. Yeah.
At an age in which you should most definitely have a baby.
It'll be against the law for
I
them
think
to
that,
be home by-
started with World War II. I think that started with World War II. With World War II, the men were at war.
The women
and
had to
the
go
women
to work.
had to go to work, and that's the first generation of latchkey kids, which resulted in the boomers.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that also comes into the mindset of they were taught to just work until they died. Like you know, it's so hard to stop a boomer from working.
Facts.
If you notice, like that is what they pride themselves on just working. Even if it doesn't have the external benefit, like even if it's like, hey, you know you can do this smarter. No, I gotta put these hours.
Yeah, I got my way, got my system. I've been here for 30-something years now.
Yeah, you know, I earned that pension. You know?
Yeah, fact.
Like it's so crazy. It's
But-
like
but I get-
stuff they pride themselves.
But
on.
I get the psychology behind it, because, like, you put in 50 years at a job, and you see somebody come in less than a decade, they're right where you at when you put in your 50 years, and they're going to surpass you. How do you not feel foolish? How do you not feel like, damn, they got over on me. They got me. Like, like, I don't want to think about the man. I just kept my and I pulled myself up and I carved out this. Look at this empire. This is mine. I'm the king of my castle. And you see somebody put in a fraction of your time, and they got right where you're at, maybe even surpassed you.
That's definitely.
How do you not feel foolish?
Yeah.
So
You just gotta be happy where you at that point.
yeah, that's a mind fuck, and that's the issue that we're having with a lot of these baby boomers that haven't exited the workforce.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how you get stuff done, man. You don't understand.
Yo, they be big mad at work,
What?
bruh.
Man, what? Man, you don't know. This is just how stuff gets done. No. No.
That's the old way.
No.
Let me show you something.
This
Let
is
me
not
show you
how
how to do
stuff
this
gets done.
express shit.
This is not how stuff gets done. And hey, be careful. Be careful. You'll set yourself up. Now, you know what? Let's just put all the cards on the table and we'll figure out what's what. You don't want that, man. You want an edge. I don't need a fucking edge. I know what I know, and let go and let God, right? Let go and let God, right? let's see what side Jesus is on. I'm willing to go out about mine. Oh man, like, cause you bullshitting. We had a thing called retired on active duty when I was in corrections. When the motherfuckers rode, it's usually an older cat that's almost eligible for retirement, right? Almost eligible for retirement. He might have 5 years left. But all of that hustle and bustle that he did for 30 years, letting people abuse him, oh man. Here's this new generation coming in. These motherfuckers, bright-eyed bush, they don't know. They don't know the bullshit they about to go through. Instead of warning them, let me add on to this. Man, shit.
So let me get mine then.
Yeah, hey, I'm your supervisor.
Yeah.
No, damn well he ain't no supervisor.
Oh! Nigga, you a RA2. That is a non-competitive position. Like, why are you not a lead? Why are you not a unit manager? Why are you not a shift commander? Oh, nah, but I'm your supervisor. Fuck out of here, man. Fuck out of here. Like, what are you talking about? Man, I got seniority. I outrank you. What the fuck are you talking about? You got seniority.
Just because you here long.
Yo, I appreciate that you survived. You got through the bullshit, but let's call a spade a spade. You was on some bullshit. I'm here to work. I'm here to learn. If you can teach me, cool. And that's another thing, another issue I have with the boomers. Just because you're of mentor age doesn't mean you can mentor me. That is a fucking negotiation. That is a partnership, right? You could propose, hey, I'd like to, I want to show you. I have to accept, and it's a handshake. It's not a fucking hug where you could just embrace me and be like, yeah, man, I'm taking you under my wing. Yeah, that's rape.
Hey, yo.
That's rape.
Hey, yo.
You're not about to force your ways on me, cuz. And then, no, we saw that shit. Did y'all see, what the fuck was that, the movie that just came out, Jurassic World?
Nah.
Y'all ain't see Jurassic World? Watch that shit. The new Jurassic World.
The one that just came out?
The one that just came out. Yeah.
I watched that.
Watch that shit, and it will highlight exactly what I just said in one of the ending scenes between the unknowing protagonist and the main antagonist. Is, yo, we got something. I wouldn't betray this. I'm not you.
So, what other? Okay, so let's talk about us and the generation, I guess, after us. Which generation is that?
The Zoomers.
The Zoomers.
Yeah.
So how we talk about the baby boomers and how much they get on our nerves, how can we kind of ease that transition for the generation after us?
We can't talk at them.
Yeah.
Do not talk at them. They are just as good as us at like womp 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 womp.
That's real.
Good.
If y'all want, I can call one of my students, see if they'll answer. Y'all want to do that?
I mean,
It's up. We don't have to. But
I mean,
if y'all up to it,
y'all want to? You think he gonna be
See
up?
if they answer. I mean, it's 11 o'clock. You know these young niggas don't sleep, so they on that vamp life shit.
shout out to Jim Jones. Shout out to Jim Jones.
Niggas definitely don't sleep.
Definitely about to call this cat, see what's happening.
He playing whatever they got on the Xbox now.
Honestly, it's probably his prime time. He probably up.
I don't think he went because he's
Gotta
supposed to
put
be
him on
going to the
speed.
military. Yeah, he's going to the military. I don't think he deployed yet.
Hello.
My guy. We got you. We filming right now.
Okay. This is gonna be some bullshit.
See, look at this Zoomer nigga talking like that.
Hey, so right now you're gonna be speaking for your generation right now and put you on blast just like Jack Knight.
Hey, I'm speaking for the generation. Fuck this nigga.
Yeah, he ready, yo. He ready.
All right.
No, if anybody gonna speak for this goddamn generation, it's gonna be.
Okay.
All right, let's go. I need the questions.
Yo, my man ready.
Yo, he
All right, this is
I
my
love
question.
this guy, yo.
So, as a young generation trying to move forward, trying to get what you feel like you deserve, how can the generation after you,
Before.
Before you.
before you, support you?
Not give a fuck. Honestly, like let us like literally the best motivation I ever got was not being like not feeling like I was shit. And old heads made sure of that growing up. So I say keep that around because like that that grit needs to be built in every single man and woman, I believe, in this generation. Because like with this generation, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. It's like on one side you have the privilege, you know what I'm saying, the ones that never really seen shit, and then you have the ones that seen everything, and it's just them that seen it, you know. So it's like because we kind of get misinterpreted as like pussies, honestly. But then like they just take in consideration one side of you know what I'm saying the two coin situation.
So,
But honestly, old heads, I wouldn't even say old heads because I'm not really old. I say the old, past generation, take on mentorship, like as in like take on being a mentor. Like just grab some little hoodlum out the trenches, just like train him, like you were like Mr. Miyagi or some shit. It's gonna pay off.
word. All right, I definitely like that, and I think that's something kind of we was kind of talking about is like not talking to the younger generation, but more or
We're
less
not talking at y'all, but talking to y'all.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like that just, I mean, I can't really even say I have a problem with that right there because it's like a lot of motherfuckers in my generation have a listening problem. Like, period. Like, they just don't want anybody to be talking to them about any goddamn thing because they're so hard headed.
So let me ask you.
Select few that
So let me
like that.
let me ask you what about our dynamic allowed you to accept that situation?
Because you came to me like a human. Honestly, honest to God, you was one of the first people to treat me like a human being in high school. Because you was just like, yo, I need you for this. And I was like, and you said my ninth grade mind, I was like, I mean, I ain't doing shit, so yeah, I might as well.
I did not fuck with you in your ninth grade, yo. You was too wild, your ninth, yo. I stayed away from, like, I saw you, and I was like,
Gotta let them grow a little bit.
yeah, not yet, not yet.
I need to grow a little bit, but that's okay. Because I'm glad that you actually took the time out your day and to like consistently check up on me with those things like that because that some of that stuff made me the man I am today. Honestly, but I'm still growing.
That's dope. So that was a
But
powerful.
I say, yeah, because kids, I don't know what it is, but like middle school, they kind of like just was like, you remember when you were telling me about like it's like the chill out period? They're like, yo, just chill. Like that's how the whole concept of middle school is just like, yo, y'all need to chill. And I came from that, and they were trying to implement that still like in ninth grade, and it made me not feel like a person. It kind of just made me feel like a project, kind of, you know. And you was one of the first people that you know saying didn't treat me like that. And I was like, well, he seems pretty cool. It doesn't treat me like the rest of the people, so like, and you actually paid attention to like my thoughts and like the things I had to say, even though I would say just any goddamn thing at that time. You would actually be like, well, this is why this is incorrect. You would explain things to me, like, and give me actual examples and not say, well, because I'm an adult. You know, you never gave me that answer of like, because I'm grown. And that's why I stuck around and I decided to keep talking to you.
And that's that
Because you
baby
gave me
boom.
actual explanations to actual problems. And it made me a problem solver myself.
Okay. I appreciate you, my G. Love you, yo.
You represent it really well, man.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to the pod.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
All right, my G. Hey, get back to your evening.
Alrighty.
All right, take care.
Now let's call one of these little niggas that ain't got no sense.
Why you just looking for the smoke? Why you looking for that?
Hey yo,
I'm not
I
calling my
am
niece,
I'm not gonna lie.
can't
I'm
call my
pleasant.
niece,
I am pleasantly surprised at how that call went.
and I will say like the younger generation, they know how to keep it real.
Yeah.
And like keep it a being. He was like, honestly, just let us be for a minute, and then when you see us or when you feel like it's appropriate time to talk to us, talk to us like a human.
Right.
Yeah, but I had to learn that when I worked in, like, I literally had to work in the correction system because, like, coming out of college, coming out of Frostburg, I was overzealous. Like, I had this whole, like, oh, man, I know exactly what to do to get these kids, man. They wasn't fucking with none of that shit. None of it. Like, man, oh, my gosh. I remember my first kid, yo. My nigga, I must just say his first, my nigga Andy, yo. Nigga Andy tried to play me. Fuck with him, though. Nigga tried to play me. Nigga was, cause, you gotta think about it. Juvenile detention is supposed to be rehabilitative, right? But in Maryland, it's punitive.
I'm glad you said it's supposed to.
Yeah,
'cause we know what it is.
it's punitive, but I want to say it's punitive with an asterisk, right? So if you're in the system and you're trying to work the system, right, you'll get perks. You'll get perks. That shit, like, for real, I keep it all the way a buck. I had a kid tell me, yeah, man, 16 right now. I've been getting locked up since I was 12. This is safety for me. This is security for me. Like,
It's probably the most stable home he been in.
exactly. Like, y'all gotta clothe me. Y'all gotta feed me. You know what I mean? Whatever happens, like, man, y'all clip my toenails for real. Like, I get to go to school. I got PlayStation and Xbox here. I asked him question. I'm like, hey, so, nigga, this is what you want for your future? Oh, nah, man, I know what it is. I turn 18, I start and get charged as an adult. I'm going to stop committing crimes when I'm 18. But until I'm 18, I know y'all got to clothe me. Y'all got to feed me. I know where my meals are coming from. And I get PlayStation and I get Xbox.
That's a terrible finesse, but I see it. I get it. Like, yeah.
That shit crazy, man.
Especially when you don't got nothing. So it's like you see.
But what also though, this kid, he was what, 16, right? So it's 4 years of him figuring this out. So that's 4 years of him being the man of his house, making decisions.
Yep.
And he's like, I can't handle that house because
That's a lot.
my parents ain't doing shit.
Like shit.
My parents ain't doing shit. They not helping me, and I didn't ask to be here. So I'm gonna try to figure out this street life, and everything's a gamble. And I'm either hit a lick and make it out on my own. I can get away from my situation and start something new, or I'm gonna work this loophole that's carved out for us.
That some probably older, somebody that's else in that life, probably try to put him on so they can protect himself because he already know that the young guy can go through the juvenile system and probably make it out by 18 and be all right to figure out his life. Like, that's awesome.
That's just crazy. That whole thing, like, when I came into that system, like, I just knew I was going to change lives, man. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to help these kids, man, because I did everything backwards. I went to intern at an alternative school, right? So I started in the school. All right, I came full circle now that I think about it. I started in the schools. From the schools, I went to the group home. From the group home, I went to juvenile corrections. Juvenile corrections is when you catch a kid after the act of a crime, and then they send them to placement, which is the group homes, right? So I came the opposite direction.
Sure.
And worked that, got to who I could get to, and that shit started to change me. So from there, like, and shout out to Meek Mill and everybody pushing like prison reform, because the structure and the purpose behind it, man, like it needs attention. It needs attention because my homeboy Cliff, shout out to Hearst, my man had to get baptized when he left. Like, it put a spirit on you. Like, you got to change the way you look at life when you're in there. Like, when I came in, I'm happy to go like, oh, my, take care of all these kids, man. Yeah, just one kid at a time. That shit lasted 3 months. My first week, yo, shout out to Cliff, another Cliff. Shout out to another Cliff. I'm not going the shift commander come to me. Hey, man, I see you talking to these kids. You ain't no social worker. Fuck that shit. Hey, get them in line, keep them moving. I'm like, yeah, they people. They fucking criminals. Nigga, you soft, man. Hey, you keep doing this bitch ass shit, I'm gonna send you to waxes with the bitches. I was like, oh, shit.
Wow, that culture different.
Yeah, because
They
it's
see-
about safety and order. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed from college. I got this psychology degree. Oh, man, yeah, I'm going to work with the minds of these kids. I'm gonna save some souls. The thing that was, I had a training officer, so we was able to do bad cop, good cop. My training officer ain't played no games. That nigga ain't played no games because we needed to keep shit safe. We need to keep shit on track. So he bust heads. He get in these kids' shit, and they sit here, you know, I could see the emotion on him. And I'm like, I could process with him. Hey, yo, you know why he did that? Come on, man. You can't be on that bullshit. Like, come on, man. Anytime, think about his job. Think about what he's got a kid, right? We trying to grown men. We trying to grow y'all into men. You know what you did was wrong. How you expect them to react? You know what I mean? Think about consequences and if it's worth it. If it's not, don't do it. Then my nigga got fired. Yeah, that's what happened. Nigga got fired. And not gonna say why he got fired. Nigga got fired, and I'm like, shit, my hammer's gone. My hammer's gone, bro. Like, I'm the smoothing stone. Like, I'm out here to polish these motherfuckers up. This nigga's he's the forger. Listen, I don't know if y'all know anything about blacksmithing. If you ain't got no forger, you ain't got no need for no fucking polisher. So, at that point, yeah, that's when y'all started hearing them stories. Hey, yo, this nigga Sticks is crazy. Yo, this nigga Sticks be going, cuz at the same time, I'm responsible for these kids' safety at that point.
Right.
And fuck a lesson. Hey, I need y'all to, yeah. Y'all gotta get to this meal. Get in line. Hey, don't talk. Get in line. Get in line. You fucking around. You stopping the rest of these kids from eating. Get the fucking line. I can't talk to you. Keep it moving. And, you know, when I hit that switch, the kids is looking at me like, yo, but you was just...
Had to flip the switch.
Yeah, so with your interaction, like, you know, with the youth, the next generation, like, do you feel like there's like a different mindset? Like, I think it's publicized. I think it's like stated in media that like the next generation or maybe some millennials, included in the mix with Zoomers, have a sense of instant gratification or not wanting to hustle as previous generation or not work as hard. I think he touched on it.
Okay.
Like it's not so much. So don't you know how we stated that baby boomers were used to, like, you know, a sense of overworking, and then that, like, hey, the fruits of their labor led us to be more knowledgeable so that we don't have to work as hard. Do you think it's gone to such an extreme with the new generation, whereas like when you, like, let's say you have the advent of, like, you know, social media comedians who don't hit the, you know, don't hit the clubs, don't go through all the trials and tribulations. Like, you'll have somebody like Faison Love who really doesn't respect anybody who came from the internet at all. Like, yeah, you didn't work the clubs, you didn't do this, you didn't go through all of this.
So, Faison Love is more in the same vein as 50 Cent, right? So, if you look at 50 Cent, 50 Cent's going to gauge every new act that goes that gangster rapper route. So you could be a backpack rapper, 50 Cent ain't gonna say shit about you, right? If you come out of gangster rap, oh, there's a criteria, nigga. You been shot? You ain't been shot, nigga. I don't want to hear it because I went through some shit. I went through some real shit. Faison Love is of that same thing. For him to get into entertainment, he came into entertainment when it was still run by the mob. So he's just like, I don't care about a viral sensation. Like, your talent needs to speak and your talent needs to be flawless. And like, I went like, me being talented, I don't care about talent. Like, these motherfuckers that I had to go through didn't give a shit about talent. And Remy Ma says that shit. Like, she just wanted to be the nicest as far as MC. And then she got to a point where it's like, it doesn't matter about you being nice. Right. You feel me? So I say that to say this. The fucking baby boomers. And the reason I use that word, that vernacular, I have an adversary that's a baby boomer.
An adversary.
Yeah. And he knows who he is. I don't know if he'll ever see this. I don't know if anybody bring this up to his attention, but whatever.
He'll probably watch it.
Whatever. You know what I mean? This man has really not been an asset. He's really been an obstacle. And it's like, and that's why when I started this, I said, yo, I acknowledge everything that y'all been through. I apologize. I don't think anybody's ever apologized. But at the same time, fuck you. Because I did nothing to you. He came into my life, I guess, as trying to be a mentor, but I wasn't really shopping for a mentor. So always gave him respect. Even when he worked against me, even when he like stabbed me in the back or like tough love, whatever he called, whatever perverted shit that he's on, he hit me with, oh, you know, I went through this and that. I'm sorry that you went through bullshit.
So, like, just to kind of stay on the.
Oh no! I was gonna get to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure we're still on the train track.
I just, you know,
instant gratification.
No. So, with that, right? I feel like a lot of baby boomers miss the fact that some of them are successful, right? I think they miss the fruits of their labor, right? So I brought this up because he had mentioned something. He had told me one time that he thinks that his entire generation did a disservice to the following generation with working so hard and giving their children everything that was denied them, regardless of whether they earned it or not. And I think there's substance to that. You know what I mean? Like, I told you, as far as we go, as far as our community goes, we don't need handouts. We need guidelines. We need a blueprint, which is what I've found out with these kids, right? Like, anything that's just like donated, anything that's charity, we don't appreciate.
It's not gonna last.
We don't respect it. Yeah. We don't respect it at all. It was no effort to it. Like, we ain't fucking with it for real. Like, oh yeah, that's cool, but
thank you, but
yeah. Oh,
how can I get this money?
And eventually, I guess what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So I acknowledge him for doing that, but there's a bitterness that came with that. You know what I mean? Like, you hear the shit that they say about the wealthy, right? Once you make enough money, it's not about how much money you have. It's about how much money you give away now. That's the real flex. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel like they got it a little bit backwards where they were just not really focused on, because they know they can't take it with them. But they're not focused on giving us what we really need to keep the shit going. They want us to be subservient.
Yeah.
They want us to be reliant. Hey, we did this. All this came from me. Pay homage to me. Like,
I'm not going to teach you how to maintain a house, but I'll leave you the house.
Yeah, and I think that this systems was just like mad different back then too. Like the way they just did everything that I'm thinking about like when they balancing like a checkbook. Like nobody younger than us is really gonna understand what balancing the checkbook really, what that really is. But that's all they did. You know what I'm saying? That's how they operate back then. So now, then that took time. That took a lot of time to sit down, balance your checkbook, do what you got to do for your own finances. Now it's like everything is 2 days, next day. Like you gonna automate it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
you get your paycheck 2 days early.
it's instant, yo. It's instant. It's not too much planning, but it does require a lot of planning, but not as much as it did back then.
The thing that scares me about automation is I don't ever want to, like, I always told myself I was going to take a year to just be a woodsman, like just connect to nature. Like I'm gonna learn how to survive off this.
I mean, I respect it. Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
because if the world, because I just think of, I know it sounds kind of conspiracy theory. I always think of the doomsday scenario. Like, yeah, the world is relying on technology.
Hey, man.
Let's shut this shit down and see how they.
I definitely ain't mad at that, dog. You gotta. I feel like, and these are the skills from the baby boomers. For real, like those are still essential
and I feel like all of
skills.
them know how to survive in that world.
Exactly.
But they never taught it. They
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I agree.
And that's the whole thing. I don't want to get too bad down on them because of how they were brought up. Do as I say, do what
Yeah.
you're told, don't ask questions, and they knew that was kind of a fucked up way to raise somebody. Like you kind of have to ask questions, like to learn, to have a better understanding, right? If you're gonna take control of your destiny and your family going, you need to know how things go. You can't just follow blindly.
Yeah, but I think as a person, right? Nobody's ever going to give you everything that you want or need, right? So let's take it from the perspective of they probably were thinking about how they felt having to learn all of this different stuff. Like, man, I wish like this was a real like chore, or this was really like stressful on me that I had to learn how to do this and do that. Man, my kids are never going to worry about having to do this. They're never going to have to work because I'm going to be able to work hard, put in the hours, and they're never going to. I'm just give it to them.
But you're not going to be here.
I mean, that
forever,
kinda
and that's going to leave that's going to do a disservice. So here's what I will give them. They probably feel like we're like, yo, get out the way. We're like, get out the way. We know that you're still here. You're not obsolete. But you need to. We need you to assume your new role, right?
Yeah.
Go into that grandparent role.
Yeah.
Right? Be that elder or statesman, right?
that's
Be that
storytelling.
wise older figure. Because I don't think the baby boomers know that that's what they're supposed to be doing now. They think that they still should be in the mix. Oh, I still got this energy. I'm still around. Like,
Or just
I'm
chilling
still a soldier.
all the way off.
Yeah, like, no.
Yeah.
Your fight's over. We don't like how y'all are fighting. So
So give us some information about what you would have done, and we might not use it, but it's still perspective. You know what I'm saying? I think
either way,
having that perspective is key.
either way, your time, you did what you could with your time. And you have to respect the next group coming up because you got is like what everybody know what Drake said. YOLO, you got one life.
It's so, I feel like with okay, so let's say you work to perfect the craft, right?
Okay.
Let's say we're talking about writing.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you an example. It's a very like small example. And you're writing neatly, right? Like you know how to write cursive, neat, everything like that. Cursive is obsolete at this point, but and you have a child and you want them to write cursive in a way that you will write cursive, and they just don't do it. And they're not doing it in that way, but they are still doing cursive, but they're not doing it in that way. I think baby boomers, once they realize that the next generation is not going to do the shit the way they do it, they're like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. Fuck it, you're not doing it the right way. Oh, you don't cut grass diagonally, you do it this way. Fuck it, I will do it myself.
And then it'll take them longer to do it.
You ain't got that spring in your step no more.
I mean, and I think that's
you don't got that spring in your step no more.
that's all I heard.
The only time that baby boomers, I kid you not, if it didn't originate with them, they will ask for help.
Facts. If it's on the computer,
if it came,
It's like what
Cuz
Cuz said in the Incredible Hulk movie, Tim Roth, right? He was like, "Yo, the knowledge that I have and the body that I had when I was 25, that is somebody I would not want to fight."
Yeah.
And that's how they feel. But they really feel that way like right now. Like, you know what? I might not be what I was when I was your age, but I think I'm tougher than you at this age.
I understand. So just so we're not staying on us
You
and
gotta
the baby boomers.
We gotta let the baby
a
boomers
lot
go,
of this
yo.
is about the future.
Like
It
shit,
is.
we
It
gotta
is.
Like that's
Now we
what
can
I'm
get
saying.
back to my young boy. So I appreciate what my young boy said. As far as just giving game and getting out the way, because they got to figure it out. I talked to him about his music selection. I can't stand it.
Facts.
Can't stand
Yo,
it.
these young niggas. Yo,
I can't stand.
I can't call them niggas. What do you listen to?
Oh my gosh. So he makes music.
Okay.
And he asked me to critique some of his music. And I'm gonna tell y'all what I told him.
Trash.
No.
Back to the drawing board.
No. For me, for my preference, too much Juice WRLD. It's too much Juice WRLD. And he's like, yo, who's better than Juice WRLD? I'm like, for me, Juice WRLD is just a diluted Kid Cudi. That's where all that started with me. And he thought about it.
Diluted musically, not actually chemicals in his system. He's definitely.
But at this point, I realized outside of Griselda, I don't want to hear nobody else new.
And they're old. They're not even like they're new in terms of
JID. I don't want to hear
All
anybody
right,
else.
come on. I would disagree with that. I fuck with Earth Gang.
No. I said Earth Gang and JID are included,
Oh,
but I don't
okay.
want to hear anybody else new.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I
nobody
mean, the music is definitely. And all right, you just made me think of like, so back in the day or like the 90s or maybe early 2002, they'll say like that hip hop music was about being the drug dealer or being the boss. But then now this younger generation is really about being the drug user. So like that's a totally different side of the coin. Like that's a different type of effect. Do you feel like that really affects the future and
So,
young
but
boys?
so here's the whole thing. You got a whole different dynamic, right? You got a whole different dynamic, and
I think things come in waves because in the 70s it was embraced to be a user to
you talking about Jimi Hendrix?
indulge in
Talking about Ray Charles and okay.
all that type of stuff. It was popular to indulge.
But it wasn't in the music. It wasn't in the art.
Yeah, but I say, was it
Not as much.
as blatant as it is now,
Not
or
as
like
much as it is.
maybe
Like,
it wasn't
was
overtly.
Exactly. It's
Not overt.
so it's gonna be always like covert stuff in art. That's what makes it art. But
Yeah.
now it's not even.
Temptations Cloud
It's
9
not even
is all
covert.
about heroin.
but you don't know that
But
it's
that's
heroin
one
until
song. You can go
listen
to
to the
Future's
song,
whole
it's
last album.
obvious.
That's one song. You can go to Future's whole last album. It's nothing about drugs.
Yeah,
It's all-
that's why.
it's
That's
all
why I feel
drugs.
like they might talk about being in Clouds or Mary Jane or like stuff like
Okay.
It's like sub.
It was innuendo. Okay.
Yeah, but now it's like
Okay.
I'm just flat out depressed and I'm ready to kill myself.
But it's all about a trendsetter, somebody who comes along and breaks the matrix, right? You could argue it was Lil Wayne. You could argue it was Future. You could argue that like all the emo rap is XX and Tashion.
Yeah.
He was the guy who brought that bought that wave, like emo rap,
Yeah, I mean-
or whatever. So it takes one. It only takes one. It's like, damn, this is different. It's vibing. It takes a hit. It takes a hit song that sounds good sonically.
And there
You
goes.
got something.
Yeah, Lil Wayne definitely like.
You know what I'm saying? Or 3 6
I know the song. I know the Lil Wayne song.
I know all them bitches.
I know. No. I know the song that changed rap.
Which one?
Just
was
like, so right now I'm watching. I don't know if y'all.
that? What song was it?
Negro, did you just say you know the exact song?
I know,
that
right?
changed it?
That's what I like. I need
That's
to
a
know.
wild thing. Okay, no. I
What
just wanted
song?
to clarify
Get
that you
some
just
head?
said that.
Lollipop. Lollipop. Lollipop changed rap.
Something told me you was gonna say that shit.
It did.
How, nigga?
Look at the tempo. Look at the beat. And yeah, and then what was it? The auto tune
I
and
really
the
hated that
harmonizing.
song.
Yeah. That's
I
the
mean-
one song that Lil Wayne really wasn't like spitting on. That nigga was harmonizing. And what is everything else now?
Yeah.
Harmonizing rap.
Okay.
Cause it was ringtone rap before that. T-Pain was killing it.
Soldier Boy.
He ain't do what the fuck Lil Wayne did with Lollipop. And then Static Major died. And that song and that sound stayed.
So okay, so we're going to move through this shit.
Yeah, all right, man.
You will
We
not
definitely
take me off
will.
these tracks.
It's cool.
No, so we talk about music, like, you know, how it's changed over time. So like, okay, the so one of our points with the future is the advent of the internet and where we're at and how that can impact the progression. Let's talk about how that can impact the progression of our people specifically moving forward. Like, how has it negatively affected us? And how, like, is there any way to like maybe manage it to whereas we can leverage it to positively, like, push us forward in the future?
I think
Oh, go ahead.
I just be quick. I think we got to be more aware and conscious of the artists and the music that we push and promote. I think because like we have, it's great artists that don't really talk about the drugs, the sex, and just the negative stuff in general, but they don't get promoted. And the ones that want to talk about the shooting, you know, drinking codeine and shit like that, like those are the ones that get promoted on the radio. Those are the ones that get the influence of our children, and those are the ones that our children want to be like.
I feel like that is beyond us, though. I feel like that is that institution. I feel like that is part of the quote unquote matrix that we're stuck in. Whereas, I can't remember who I was listening to. I consume a lot of content because I work with the youth and I need to know what they're talking about. So I watched the interview and they were talking about radio, movies, music, and everything. And we're just talking about radio right now, right? So they were talking about if you look at every genre of music, you look at everything, there is no genre of music that promotes violence, debauchery, crimes amongst their own people outside of hip hop. There are no country songs, there's no rock song, there's no K-pop, none of that shit.
It exists. It's just not.
It's not
It's not glorified.
on
It's
the
not
radio.
glorified. But also, we got to think about what hip hop comes from. It comes from violent inner cities. So that's the nature of the genre of music.
So I had this conversation with my wife and her family, because she's Jamaican. So I was like, all right, hip hop is a mutation, evolution of reggae. And if you listen,
In a sense, yeah.
yeah, and if you listen to reggae, like my wife was just playing some random song. And I'm talking about beautiful beats, great
And they
melodies.
talking about killing niggas too.
Ridiculous. I'm talking about the most jolliest shit you're thinking to hear sonically. It's just violence, murder, sex, all of that. Like, it was, I can't remember the name of it. He's just talking about killing gay dudes.
That could be any reggae artist.
Exactly. Exactly. And I was just like,
Buju
what?
Banton has his famous song is "Boom Bye Bye" and the Body Boy Dead. Like
All
talking
of
about
that.
killing.
Yeah, and it sounds so jolly. Like, you just like, oh my, like, I'm talking about, it sounds like something you would hear in a cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's that's bigger than him.
yeah.
It's legit bigger than hip hop, but I think to your question about the internet just creates the unlimited access to everything. But I think to limit what the kids are, it has to, like, parental control doesn't exist anymore.
When we grew up on the internet, there was parental controls.
Facts. I couldn't go to
We had
every
to go to all these
website.
proxy websites to
Like
get to the
shit.
shit that we
I
weren't
got an
supposed to
answer
see.
to that.
That-
I got an
that's
answer
real.
to that.
That's
My young
very
boy,
real.
my young boy told me because I talked to him. All my kids ask me, "Oh, when are you gonna have kids? When you have kids of your own?" So when I talked to my young boy, he told me, just remember all of my terrible influences, everything that I got into was pretty much just when I was spending time. When I spent time alone, I found things. I didn't know what they were.
Facts.
I had to explain to somebody. He says, so if you spend time with your children, if you spend time with your loved ones, the younger ones, all the time you spend with them, you can shape and mold their access to information and how they see the world. The moment you stop, they're on their own and they're going to find something to fill that void. So if you want your kids to be financially literate, if you want your kids exposed to healthy things, you have to spend time with them, which goes to what happened when I was in juvenile corrections. We had a big plaque in front of Cheltenham Youth Facility that said, please spend time with your children so we won't have to. It's right there. So we used to have this chant. We used to have this whole thing. The motto was, when we get past the emotions and feelings of adults, we can start to work on the futures of our children. Because when it comes down to it with these adults, it's just, oh, I feel this and da 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 da, like all this ego. Like, if the kids of the future, put your money where your mouth is and focus on them.
I could definitely see how, as I get older, I can see how adults can just be complacent or maybe just feel a type of way that they didn't accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. So now they feel like they don't got nothing to give back.
And that's why I said, that's when I was talking to Sonny. It takes, for us, for our community, it's going to take 3 selfless generations. It's not about us.
Facts.
It's not about our kid. It's not about our grandkids.
And it really sucks because because whenever we talk about like parenthood and things like that, it's like, oh yeah, we want to see our kids thrive. The dream is literally so big, you won't see that out of your kid.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. It goes past, oh, well, I understand it's not about me. It's not about your fucking kid.
And here's the thing.
That's how big it is. Like,
Our community loves to bring up the Asian community, right? And we talk about China as a nation. China as a nation, they only focus on the nation. They don't think about the people at all. And when the world, when it comes to the Chinese people, the world will be like, oh my gosh, Chinese people are treated horrible. Like, think about that Olympics, right? Where they went to every province and they bust those people in to build that stadium without pay. And then when they were done, find your own way home. This was your duty to your nation.
Like shit.
You see what I'm saying? The grass isn't greener on the other side. But China's getting shit done. Like, China's a threat. Is what everybody's worried about. You feel me? So they got their priorities.
Yeah,
Stop looking at what these other nations are doing, and we need to have a true conversation with ourselves. And at the end of the day, the focus on that conversation needs to be our youth, not you,
Facts.
not your pops, not our youth, our future. What are we gonna have? And are we gonna keep putting it in the hands of other people? Are we going to keep throwing our resources to other nations? Are we going to keep throwing, like, we're just wasting time and wasting everything we built? That's how I see it.
You ain't lying. I agree with you for real.
so I want to tackle 2 at the same time.
Right.
So when we talk about traditions, I want to talk about traditions and education, right?
Okay.
So I think when we talk about education, we're talking about like what we're instilling into the next generation. That could be Zoomers, or whatever the generation is named after them, the fuck would it be? Would it be like AA, like a AA battery or some shit?
Yeah, because they probably gonna be energized.
Like
they
something
gonna,
like
I
that.
don't know.
They gonna have some energy for real.
The metas. The metas.
metas?
The metas, man. 'Cause
Definitely gonna be in that bitch. Oh man, the future gonna be. Whew.
Cause I told like, y'all heard the meme, right? When the dude was like, "Yo, it's crazy." You know, I can only think about how my parents had to think about the birds and the bees. He said, but now we gotta talk about the birds and the bees, the bees and the bees, the birds and the birds, the bees that used to be birds, the birds that used to be bees, and the birds that used to be bees that still got a stinger.
I see that joint, yo. He was not lying though. Like it's definitely different conversations that need to be had compared.
And it's
to
like by the time we get around to our children, which are gonna be way past Zoomers, probably the tail end of Zoomers, like they're gonna have obstacles that we can't fathom. Like shit that we didn't even think of. Like come on now,
and that we probably low key created or supported at the time of now.
I don't know if it's us that's supporting this.
Yeah, well, not us,
Well,
but us as a
I think
as a
not
Not
time.
as a group, but us as a country are supporting.
Well, both.
Not supporting, but we're
But
at least
moving
going
along.
with it.
Yeah.
We're not fighting against it, so
Right.
in a way that is supporting.
I think we've done a good job as a human race of each previous generation creating problems and solutions for the next generation.
Yeah,
There
facts.
are pluses, but also negatives.
Yeah.
We have advanced technology, but at one point, back when there were swords and shields and stuff like that, we didn't have to worry about nuclear warfare. But we can drive. There's a pro and a big fucking con. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we're going to give them great solutions, but we're going to give them a big ass problem.
They're going to have unintended consequences for our actions. Like, we could think about the possible repercussions they'll have to face, but there's going to be things that we never could have thought of. Like, when they started driving cars, they wouldn't have thought that all the smoke from the emissions was going to pollute the sky.
Yep.
That just happened to be a consequence that we found out 50, 60 years later.
This meta world gonna be crazy.
Yeah, so let me give you an example, right? So I have sleep apnea. I use a CPAP machine, right, to help me get, the best possible sleep. So far I've been good, sometimes without it, sometimes with it. They've created something, and I think this is going to be a thing. Like about cyborgs and stuff like that. In fiction, that's the next phase. So there is a actual CPAP device that will help that you can implant. So it's going to start off with implants, I think. There's an actual internal CPAP machine. I don't need anything on the outside. I just use something to press a button, and something inside will open up my passageways to make sure nothing closes off, so I don't sleep. It is implanted in me. I think if that is a success, they will keep on implementing shit to insert into it.
100%.
So that could end up being a great benefit, but also a big problem. Like, what if you could just press two buttons, boop, boop, boop.
Not even that. I mean, whatever the material they make it out of, that could start to disseminate within your body and cause cancer. Like, who knows what the hell could happen?
Like Logan, like the movie Logan, like when the antimonium started to kill him.
It started to poison him. But no. What you're talking about, so y'all know about the little implant microchips, right? You know what I mean? Gives you access to security build. Did y'all hear about the guy that got microchipped and then he altered his microchip to emit a software virus?
Oh shit.
Yeah, he altered he messed with his microchip.
Fight the power.
That every time he swiped through an access point, it put in a virus. Only his microchip worked.
Damn.
Everybody else got locked out of the system because the microchip was to get access to the building, but it also was your pay, your time, everything was on it. And then if you wanted to buy something from a vending machine, you just swipe your hand, all of that. Yeah, everything was just him leaving trails of his virus, and everyone completely got locked out of the system.
I think we watch movies in which warfare is cyber. I think at next generation, that will be a bigger threat. And I know it's a long.
I don't know about next generation. They're doing
It's
it now.
happening. It happened 10 years ago.
They're definitely doing it now.
Well, right now, I'm gonna be honest. Nuclear warfare is not being trumped by cyber warfare right now. It's not. Like
No, nuclear warfare
it's
is
not
a
being
threat.
trumped.
Cyber warfare is actually happening.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
cyber.
happening, but it's not.
It's not as grand as it could be, but it's definitely. I feel like it's moving. Like it's the next big thing. Like yo, it's to the point where somebody can just walk up to you and just have something where they can take all your information off your credit card if you don't got the.
Why
the
do you
right
think
type of
China
wallet.
has their own internet? Like they're not on the World Wide Web, and Russia left the World Wide Web right after China did. They have their own intranet.
Shit smart.
There's a reason for that. So when the grid goes down, if they do attack the internet, they're isolated. They can keep their systems running. Everybody else, Africa, the Americas, the three Americas, because most people just think it's just two. The three Americas, Africa, Australia, and Europe, Asia, the rest of Asia is done. It's just China and Russia is still operating.
Did we touch on the your earlier points about education and
No.
I feel like he started it, but
that too. My bad.
do you remember
My
what you
It's
was
apologies.
going
supposed to be education and
I'm-
tradition.
Yeah.
Education and tradition.
Is
I'll
this
get
like
to
a
it.
versus thing or like the importance of education and
Well,
tradition or
my thing
the
is
lack of importance of like
I was trying to blend them together because like traditions could be things that you teach, that things that we should be passing down.
social education, not necessarily like intellectual.
So I think traditions can kind of leak into education because traditions are things that you pass down. In order to pass it down, you have to teach it. Like you have to
Okay.
kind of educate the next generation. So we can kind of fuse that together just to cover both points. So like, what are some things that we think need to unlearn and things that we need to implement for the next generation to be successful?
All right, we hitting our time, so this might be the.
Okay.
That's why I tried to cover.
Yeah,
both.
this would be a good one too. Say that one more time.
So when it comes down to tradition and education, what are some things that we need to implement and keep to teach our next generation, and what are some things that we need to unlearn and basically stop with our generation?
I feel like one major thing that's already kind of happening is really just following the system and following like the idea of the American dream, I guess. Like it's been passed down from generation to generation. Like go to school, go to college, get a good job, establish yourself and your family, and then that's it. But now it's like the younger generation, they understand like going to work for somebody else, spending 40 to 60 hours a week is not the move. So let me, at this young age, figure out ways that I can create revenue, start a business, and do something different. I feel like that would be a big starting point for us.
But I also think that we should teach that is not for everybody.
Yeah, and that's true.
Because
that's true.
now we have everyone's trying to be an entrepreneur and
That's
no one
true.
wants to work. So
That's real.
you can't run a business if you don't have employees.
Yeah,
So
and-
when we had that small business loan during the pandemic, everyone qualified for it because you had to have like less than 50 employees.
Yeah.
You only got one
everybody.
employee, and that's yourself.
100.
At that point, you don't really run a business.
Yeah, so I guess the better way to say is being more self-aware, understanding where you fit in. Like college isn't for everybody, but at the same time, entrepreneurship isn't for everybody as well.
Yeah, I think with the unlearning, we have to like unlearn dogmas, which are just like things that we've accepted as a social group, but it's never actually been proven by anything. So like going to college is the best way for you to succeed, even though like I guess they say over a lifetime you make $1 million more, but the government gonna tax 60% of that, so you only make about $40,000 more or $400,000 more, and over a lifetime, is it really worth it?
Right.
I think Sticks already started one thing is just kind of like getting on the next generation's level and having real human conversations. Like we have to continue that. Like for
Yeah.
example, like based on what you're saying, right? What I've had to learn through trial and error is that your skill gets you the money. Like the skill, like if you acquire a skill that is in demand, right? High demand, but rare. It can get you money as an employee. It can get you money as a business owner, as long as it's something that's in demand and is very rare. Now that's a hard thing. That can be a hard thing to do. But if it's like, hey, look, where we're going with technology, there are certain sectors within technology. There are teams that certain companies may not have certain stuff, or even something mechanical or a skill. Pick up a skills like I think everybody's good at something.
All right.
Figure out what you're good at. Figure out the demand for it and just perfect it. Like if you have a knack for it, if there's a market for it, perfect that skill. I'm not going to tell you that this is a land of milk and honey and that just go to college and major in anything. I will not tell you that.
Not at all.
That
Yeah,
is
you can't do that.
I'm
That's
gonna be very
counterproductive.
honest. I love everybody who told me to go to college. I should have gotten some fucking direction.
Yeah.
About that. Like I'm gonna be very honest. That is the one thing I look back on. I'm like, I had no idea what the job market looked like when I was picking my major for college, or at any point in college, I had no idea what that market was. Part of that was my fault for not looking into it,
But part of it also is we grew up in a time when the world literally changed as we were growing up. So when we graduated high school, computers were like a thing, but people weren't really working with computers like that. But by the time we graduated college, everybody's working with computers. So when you go to pick your major, the world changed.
Yeah.
So you would have had to already had an interest in computers in order for you would have just been hitting the lottery. Like, oh, I kind of had an interest in computers, so I picked it, and then you lucked up. But for most of us, we all graduated with something that we didn't go into the work field doing, and now we're backtracking.
yeah. Oh, most definitely.
It's like
Still paying that shit.
it's like what Jay-Z said. Everyone's born with genius level talent, right? Like even with him, he didn't really take to his skill with rapping because it came that easy to him. Like he had to start seeing the actual returns. You know what I mean? Like it was second nature. So he was like, oh man, this really can't be that important because it takes no effort.
But also, I think that's something that we do have to keep as a tradition that we're kind of losing is the value of longevity. Like we are so quick to bounce if it's not happening for us within a year or 2 years. But Jay-Z's a perfect example. His first album didn't come out till he was 26. He went through different avenues of really being successful to really come to the conclusion that rapping was his niche. And a lot of times we give up before we get to that point.
That's real.
And kind of like where you said, like it's a supply and demand in terms of economics. But if you're a master at something, you're always in demand. So if you work on becoming a master at whatever your skill is, you're always going to have a job.
And Dre's so on point because we go back to my appreciative OG, Sam Jackson, got his first starring role. Like he didn't pop till he was 42. 42. You know what I mean?
And in Hollywood, that's ancient.
Think about
Yeah, real
come
shit.
on, man. 42.
Yeah. That's tough.
So yeah, man, it's like if you have a dream, what did Denzel say? A dream without goals is just a waste of time, essentially.
That's
Who was the role when she was that Jungle Fever?
Mm-mm.
Wasn't the one
who talking about Samuel?
Samuel Jackson? Wasn't he a crackhead and he killed by his daddy in that movie?
Yeah, no.
He was in School Days for like a hot second.
Yeah, he had little minor roles. I'm talking about his first starring role, right? So I want to say his first role was was it Sea of Love? It was some Al Pacino movie, and he was like some regular cast member. But I'm talking about like.
Why am I thinking Pulp Fiction? But I think that's not it.
It wasn't Pulp Fiction.
So here's the thing with Pulp Fiction, that wasn't written for him. Pulp Fiction was not his role. Pulp Fiction was written for Lawrence Fishburne. No, really.
I mean,
Quentin Tarantino was talking about it. Pulp Fiction was written for Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne turned it down because he wanted to be a leading man. And Pulp Fiction wasn't a leading man role. Like it wasn't like it was the same. It was higher than Ving Rhames' role, but he wasn't the star of the show. You feel me? So yeah, for Lawrence Fishburne to take his career the direction that he wanted it to go, he had to turn down. He wanted to do Pulp Fiction, but he couldn't do it for his career's sake.
The future.
It's funny. Denzel, Wesley Snipes, Lawrence Fishburne, somebody else, and Samuel Jackson were all part of the same Broadway company. They all did plays together, and everybody else was getting, and that's why Samuel Jackson credits his sobriety to his wife, because he's like, he was in the mix, but he was on drugs and wasn't getting them roles. That's why the whole thing, like you talk about Jungle Fever, he was on drugs. Like that was authentic. Like he was really like living that.
Yeah, he was a functional credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, great side story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to wrap these.
Yeah, we can wrap it up though.
Good combo. Honestly, all around great combo.
Yeah, honestly, this is a good series for real. Just to really unpack the ways that the society and really ourselves in a lot of ways kind of hold ourselves back, and just not recognizing our past and the shit that we've been through and
How it affects us.
Yeah, how it affects us and the opportunity that we have in the future if we kind of not play our cards right, but just understand what's ahead of us.
And that's what I need us to focus on. Like, I don't think a lot of us recognize the opportunities that pop in front of us every day. You know what I mean? Like, there's a meme I saw that, we pass on $1 million ideas to work a $17 hour job.
Yeah.
Like, we literally give up on our $1 million dreams for a $17 an hour job. And it's like, that's what we're taught. Like, get the guaranteed thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get the, like, and that's like the welfare state, right? I always focus on us getting away from welfare because of how it hurts us. And what I never really acknowledged was the thing that hurts us the most about welfare is the narrative behind it. The narrative is, without welfare, it's like America's turning its back on the black community. We're not the majority that's on welfare. It's the white, like, welfare is for white people. Like, the majority of the people that I know that are on welfare, that are on that system, are white people. Like, it's not us. We're not the ones that are leeching tax dollars for the welfare system. It's white people. Because if it was us,
It'll be over.
exactly. Exactly. There's no way.
So
Yeah, man. Nah. We really needed this. We really needed this. And we got to keep it going.
Yep.
for sure. So any last words or any, I guess, or maybe any ideas of future conversations for real?
Well, like, I guess we could start off with like last remarks on like maybe the episode of the series. So I think shout out to Sticks, man. I'm glad we were able to shoot this and we were able to work together to get this done. This was our brainchild that we really wanted to push out and get on camera. So I'm glad we were able to do that. So that's a great accomplishment.
Actually, before we wrap it up, can y'all explain how y'all two came together to think about this series? Because I don't think we ever discussed that.
That's a good.
Yeah. So I think in the midst of our conversations, I picked up a rhythm like of what we would constantly touch on every time, like just based on what we were seeing on social media, like hear from different media outlets and stuff like that. Like just so much conflict amongst black people, more so black men and black women, and you're always just hearing so much negative and bad stuff. And it's just like, in my opinion, I think I just came to him and he could clearly hear the tone in my voice. Like damn near like, man, we gotta say something. We should do something. Like, Like we have in-depth conversations about this all the time, like the status of black people. And I feel like, yo, we're like, I know so many intelligent black men and black women, and I'm like, how are we not doing better than this? Like how? Like I don't know how. Like it was baffling to me. It's baffling. Like it really blew me. Like, so I was like, you know what? I would like to put this on camera. I want you to roll with me. I want you to work. Let's get the squad together. Let's do this. I want you on. Let's do this. So that's kind of how I came to him. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to it.
Oh, no, that was 100%. My whole thing is my dad taught me to observe first, like, and I think that's when we were talking about mentors and mentorees and it being negotiation, being an acceptance. My mentoree pointed out something to me that I didn't even know about myself. He was like, "Yo, listen, I watched you before I even came to have a conversation with you. I always watched you. Everybody's talking their stuff. Everybody's pointing out." He was like, "You only speak when you are knowledgeable about the subject. Like, and usually you're the last one to speak. You let everybody get their shit off, and then you'll interject, you'll correct, or you'll highlight something, you'll give clarity, and then you get out." And I was like, yeah, because I don't want to be that guy that's just talking just to talk, just to hear my own voice, and then somebody was like, "Oh, no, you're absolutely wrong about that." If I'm wrong, explain to me how I'm wrong. Don't just say I'm wrong. Like teach me something. Like I'm of the ilk that you're never too old to learn something. And I just try to instill that into my kids. So when me and Sonny have conversations, I never tell Sonny he's wrong. I just highlight certain things. Well, maybe this, maybe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not trying to be a contrarian because I can be. But
Just offer a different perspective in a way.
yeah.
And that different perspective opens it up to a even broader conversation.
Right.
Like, and that's how we really, honestly, like one of those conversations was, and this is like a segment of one of our many conversations, but this was just something like, hey, once he offered his perspective and I had mine, and then conversations kept on going, and I'm like, we have these strong opinions about this stuff, and we both care about it. So, let's get it on camera. Let's see if we can put it out there to just put the information out there and make sure that we do our part and spreading like at least our opinion. Like I can't say for certain if we're right or, if we're right, wrong, or whatever, but it's something that we see from our perspective or my perspective, your perspective. We just wanted to put it out there just to get a conversation started. And yeah, I'm glad we did that, But that was the basis of it.
Nah, man, it definitely needed conversation, man. I'm definitely glad y'all came here and we made it happen for real.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of it. And more importantly, thanks for putting it out there so the conversations keep going. Because essentially my goal was to kind of like put questions out there to start conversations, and that's why I always say it's about accountability and growth, and you got to allow that space for each other to grow, right? Like you don't grow stagnant in your own mind, you know what I mean? You got to trade ideas. Like we all think different. We all bring something unique, and mine isn't more important than yours or yours, and yours aren't more important than mine. But together, I feel like we can find solutions. You know what I mean? Like not one of us has the answer, but because our situations are different, our needs are different, and that's why we had that episode with the ladies. Like I feel like with our listeners, like with us, we know each other. We got a more familiarity where we can put out when we disagree or check each other. And Sonny did when the ladies came. I didn't want to interject when the ladies came. It was a couple things that they said that I didn't really agree with, but they got to get theirs out there. You know what I mean? And hopefully when they watch back, they watch the whole series and it can be some growth. You know what I mean? It's about challenging each other's views for us to grow as a collective, because we do need to find some common ground to start moving. Because right now, things aren't being said, things are being kept in. There is no conversation, and there's no growth without conversation. So,
And I like that. It's no growth without conversation, for real. And that's definitely why we're here, to spark conversations, real thoughtful and meaningful conversations at that. So definitely, drop some comments. Let us know what you guys think. Any other ideas or conversations you'd like to have?
you want us to revisit anything? You want us to keep it going? Let us know.
Word, for sure, for sure.
Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we gotta do the proper outro. Follow us on social media. I'm really gonna get these clipped up so we can really start sharing these motherfuckers. Bruh, let me tell y'all, all right. This shit is gonna pop, all right? It's only a matter of time. So I have the experience in working with a collective of business owners and organizational leaders who are all on the same mission of really trying to build their digital presence.
Yeah.
Ooh. So we created a website. It's in the works, so we're still creating it. But what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of our content, a lot of our clips, our videos, and a lot of information just about us there. So coming soon, we'll say what'sgoodbro.com. Where we'll be hosting all of our conversations, all of our products, all of our services, everything that we do, for real. So you'll definitely be ready to check that out real soon. And what else can we announce? I feel like it's something else that's brewing. But now, man, we always working. And so, like I said, follow us on Instagram at WGB Podcasts, on YouTube at What's Good Bro, and then lastly, what'sgoodbro.com, coming soon, man. So we steady going up, man. And thank y'all for listening and watching this series, Bitter Truths.